still being football, but we are going to recap the Ravens and the Jaguars Monday Night Football game, which I believe would have been one of the most sorriest excuses for a Monday Night Football game I've ever seen in my life.
It was horrible.
The Jaguars with the upset over the Baltimore Ravens. I think the final score was 12-7, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 12-7.
It was a field goal for the Jaguars each and every quarter. Just one field goal.
Yeah, so just one field.
What was wrong with those Ravens? They couldn't seem to do
Flacco
anything.
got a touchdown pass, but apparently when you look at, he had an interception.
Yeah, that was pretty pathetic.
All right, so we're going to actually go to the stat board right now if Nick would let go of the mouse. Thank you very much.
Final score 12-7.
Yes, that's what I just said. But okay, so Maurice Jones-Drew, 30 rushes, 105 yards. He had Anquan Bolden with 40 yards and a TD, but could have been better. But the Jaguars, just all of a sudden, their defense just came through in the clutch like that, you know?
No, but what their offense was doing was amazing, too. They actually, what I was surprised about, they blocked the one player that could have easily turned Jacksonville's day bad. They blocked Lewis left and right. 3 guys on one player every play. I was watching, I'm like, look, 3 guys over here blocking him. Other guys are coming in on the defense, but they just aren't as fast as, Ray Lewis.
But if you look at his tackle stats, he was leading the way in tackles, having 6 tackles, along with two of them were assisted tackles.
But no sacks, and right there is the defining point.
Now, I'm going to say this. If they were putting through, while they're putting 3 people, your other defending players has to go through those gaps because they're placing gaps when you put 3 people on one guy.
Which they were doing, but the simple fact is they were giving time, for the ball to be thrown. They were giving that, like, okay, here, I'm going to give you this much time, throw the ball.
Apparently, Flacco only threw 137 yards, so it's only 5 fantasy points for all the fantasy owners out there.
Yep.
And he did have a touchdown, but he had a pick to go along with it, so he had 9 points.
Yeah, and the only play
that's pathetic.
And the only play in that game I thought was actually worth seeing was when they forced a fumble, picked it up, and got the ball back. Otherwise, it was.
And the Ravens challenged it too, I believe.
Yes, they did. They challenged it. They challenged it, and then they got it back, but it was just simple. It was just crazy. And then the fact that Jacksonville scored its first points, not with a touchdown, but with the field goal from 60 yards.
Actually, 2 were from 54.
And 1 was 60. That first one to get to 3 was like...
Actually, I think 3 of them were from 50 yards and out, and 1 was 22. So,
yeah, so it's like...
Okay, so if you're looking at it from fantasy points, if you're doing field goal stats, ESPN.com fantasy football, you're looking at 15 from the 5 field goals since 5-5-5,
Yeah.
And then you have another 3 points for that's 18 fantasy points just for a kicker.
And I know, and it was just amazing.
Yes, that is amazing for a kicker.
And here, how about the leading man for fantasy football, Arian Foster with 40 points.
I know. I was like, wow. I just couldn't believe it myself. It's like, wow.
Apparently, he's doing a very good job for the Texans with Andre Johnson being out, so it's pretty good.
He's holding his own.
Now, do we have?
All right, so let's get back to the Ravens real quick. What was the difference you've seen? I mean, what we talked about last week and what happened last night.
Well, the difference I saw was the fact that the Jaguars' offensive line actually held off that devastating defense. And the fact that the Jaguar defense actually was able to get in and get those tackles and get those sacks that actually, to me, defined the game. Daniel?
For me, it's quite different. I just didn't see the offense that you usually see with the Ravens. When you don't see their offense, they're not going to be able to score the points. That's the biggest problem.
Exactly. And
they've had 2 games where it seemed weird how they played.